Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to September's planning meeting. It is moved by Councillor Karen, second by Councillor Hunter. Be it resolved that the council agenda as presented on September 23rd, 2025 be approved as circulated. Please vote. And that carries. Thank you. Now I will go to Councillor Cairns to please deliver our land acknowledgement statement.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. We would like to begin today's meeting by acknowledging the First Peoples who for thousands of years before us were and are now still the keepers and caretakers of this land where we now live and work, in particular the Chippewas of Rama, Wattamohawk First Nations, and the Moon River Métis. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people. We recognize that all generations of Indigenous people and their historic connection to this place, and we are grateful for the opportunity to gather here at this time. Thank you. Make way.
Thank you. While we're on that subject, I invite the public and council to join us on September 30th to recognize Truth and Reconciliation Day. We will be raising the flag at 9 a.m. And to be in part as a reminder, we are wearing orange today. So I want to thank Councillor Robinson for making the suggestion and appreciate people taking part. Okay. Thank you for that. Councillor, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Okay, seeing none. This afternoon, there are two public meetings scheduled for one zoning bylaw amendment and one Shore Road closing. Application number ZA 26-2025 for Sterling. Application number SRC 01-2025 for Rogers. The Planning Act requires that a public meeting be held before council decides to pass a zoning bylaw amendment or close a Shore Road allowance. The public meeting serves two purposes. First, to present to council and the public the details and background to the proposal, and second, to receive comments from the public and agencies before a council decision is made. I will briefly summarize the procedure to be utilized for the public meeting. The Manager of Planning Services, Adam Agar, will advise council as to when, how, and to whom notice of the public meeting was circulated. Staff will then advise of the purpose and effect of the proposed zoning amendment and provide any additional information that is relevant to the application. Staff will further summarize any correspondence on file. From there, the applicant will be requested to make a presentation, followed by questions or presentations from the public, either in favor or against the proposal. Council will then have the opportunity to question the applicant, staff, or anyone giving presentations. The proposed zoning bylaw amendment and road closing will be then considered by council later this afternoon. If anyone from the public in the council chambers would like to request notification of the decision of any application, please complete the form provided on the table at the back. Please include your email address and return to the same location, because we'll know who it is. I will now ask the Manager of Planning Services to advise how, when, and to whom notice of the public meeting was circulated.
Thank you, Your Worship. Notice of the public meeting concerning the proposed zoning bylaw amendment was sent by first-class mail to the respective owners and assessed persons within 120 meters, that's 400 feet, of the properties subject to the proposed bylaw amendment and emailed to applicable agencies. Included within the notice was an explanation of the purpose and effect of the proposal, a site plan, and a key map showing the location of the property in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, Chapter P13. The public notice concerning the proposed Shore Road allowance closure was advertised on the News and Notices page on the town's website for 2 consecutive weeks prior to this afternoon's meeting. Included with the shore road allowance closure public notice was a legal description of the lands affected and the date of consideration by council. The circulation concerning the proposed shore road allowance closure was provided in accordance with the provisions of the Municipal Act 2001, Chapter M25, and the town's procedural bylaw.
It is important to note that should council pass any bylaws this afternoon, there is a 20-day appeal period, during which time the applicant, the municipality, and certain public bodies as defined by the Planning Act may appeal the decision of council. During this appeal period, no building permit may be issued or other work commenced. Also, in the event there is an appeal, and in order to be kept advised of a possible Ontario Land Tribunal, members of the public must request to be sent a copy of council's decision on the application. Public meeting number 1. I now declare this portion of the meeting to be a public meeting to deal with application number ZA26-2025 for Sterling. I will now ask the Manager of Planning Services to please summarize the purpose and effect of the proposed bylaw and provide any additional information and correspondence relevant to the application.
Thank you, Your Worship. Subject property is located on Lake Muskoka. The property is designated urban shoreline residential within the urban area in the town of Gravenhurst official plan and is zoned residential 2 and currently subject to special provision 1112. The property is developed with an existing dwelling, an attached open deck, a shoreline staircase consisting of stone and wooden boardwalk, and a boathouse and a dock with a bridge connection to the neighboring dock. And you'll see that in neighboring photos, the topographical constraints on this property. The boardwalk, which is going to be subject to this application, has already been constructed on a relatively flat bedrock area and provides access to the top of the boathouse from the existing stone staircase. The bottom of the boathouse and dock are accessed through a legal easement on the neighboring property to the west and a bridge between the two docks. So you can see that here, really what we're looking at this afternoon is going to be an application for shoreline development, recognizing an existing situation. There's this bridge connection here to the rooftop of the boathouse on the subject property, and there was already a legal access granted in 2019 due to the topographical constraints. That stone staircase that was mentioned earlier is located right on here for your reference, and in order to safely access the property currently, you need to go through the neighbor's property. So, as previously mentioned, the application was submitted in order to legalize an existing boardwalk that provides access to the top of the boathouse. The application proposes to permit a maximum shoreline development area of 129 square meters, where 113.1 square meters is currently permitted by the existing special provision. The subject property, as mentioned, was subject to previous approvals, 2 separate zoning amendments in 2017 for increased shoreline development area and width provisions. The first application, which added that special provision, permitted an increased shoreline development area to 107.3 square meters and a width provision of 15.2 square meters and a setback of 0.0 meters to the western side lot line to allow for that connection. Further to that then, also, the second zoning amendment approval also occurred in 2017 as well, and that was to increase the shoreline development area in order to permit the construction of an access ramp to the shoreline to ensure that development occurred in a safe manner and that it was mindful of those topographical constraints. So it's clearly evident that, the first approval didn't necessarily meet the needs of what was required, and then the second approval was subsequently approved as a result of that situation, and now here we are today to recognize the final existing development. As mentioned, the requested shoreline development area results from the size of the boardwalk increasing from previous plans, particularly due to being it extended to the west so that it could be connected to the existing shoreline walkway that is used to access the dwelling at the bottom of the boathouse. The staircase that was originally proposed terminated at an area consisting of steep bedrock sloping that does not provide immediate or safe access from the dwelling. With respect to agency comments, the Chief Building Official, Manager of Revenue, both had no objections or comments on the application. The Deputy Fire Chief, no objections, subject to Ontario Fire Code and building code requirements being met. And lastly, the District of Muskoka had no objections. No comments from neighboring property owners have been received. So this is looking from the front of the dwelling to the waterfront. You can see here already the steep slopes down to the water and the existing shoreline structures. You can also see part of that bridge that extends between the two structures where you can make out the kayak in the middle of the frame there. This is a better view of the existing landscape and the stone shoreline staircase that is informed by the existing topography. Again, you can see the boardwalk on top and to the right, which provides a connection between the existing staircase to the top of the boathouse. This photo then looks down to the existing boardwalk. You can note that there is steep bedrock outcropping in front of it that makes direct access to the boathouse difficult. You can also see the neighboring dock to the left and that bridge connection that the owner of the subject property uses to access their dock and the bottom of the boathouse. Then this is another view of that stone staircase. This is then down from the bottom of that looking up. So if you were to do a straight line, you can see that the staircase was built in a way that directed you onto that neighboring property to the west. And then the easement was created to allow safe access to the boathouse in the shoreline area. This is then looking south from the boardwalk, and again, it's just another vantage point. You can see that existing boardwalk. It's now wider, the stone staircase, and the topography that challenges and makes the pedestrian accesses have to go to the western side of the property onto the neighbors. And again, this is just showing the severity of the steep slopes that are at play here. As detailed in the staff report, it's staff's opinion that the application is consistent with the provincial planning statement, conforms to the official plan, is appropriate and represents good planning. As a result, staff are recommending that the application be approved, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you. I will now ask for any comments by the applicant or their agent. Just need your name and full mailing address.
Good afternoon. My name is Ryan Allen, 16 McNabb Street, Bracebridge, Ontario. I'm a registered professional planner with Allen Planning Consulting, and I'm assisting Mr. Randall Sterling with his property. The property is under contract for sale, and in the process of closing the permits, it was discovered that there was some non-compliances related to the walkway and the bridge connection to the boathouse, as Mr. Agar had pointed out. In 2017, there was approval that was granted for increased shoreline development. However, I think the plan that was presented was not thought through because the access to the boathouse rooftop was straight up the rock slope that we saw in the photos. So as an alternative, and unfortunately, it was not something I would have recommended the applicant do, they constructed without permit and not in compliance with the zoning bylaw. Now we're here to beg forgiveness and clean it up. In my opinion, the alternative connection that's been constructed is preferred from a structure set of staircase straight up the steep slope, and it follows the topographic line around a very steep elevated bedrock drop to the lake shore. In my opinion, there's been no impact to drainage patterns. The vegetation communities remain the same. There's no impact to neighboring properties or privacy. This is simply to clean up the zoning bylaw to allow the property to be sold and to allow a better connection than was originally planned. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. I'll just conclude that I'm also of the opinion of Mr. Agar that the application conforms with the official plans and is consistent with the provincial planning statement. Thanks.
Great, thank you. So we will skip the next portion because there are no other members of the public here. Also, I believe I've been informed that there are no remote participants today. So I'll ask council. Council, are there any questions for our planner or for the applicant's planner today? Okay. Great. So, Mr. Agar, are there any recommendations or comments to bring to the attention of the council as results of these proceedings?
Your worship, as detailed in the staff report, staff would recommend the application be approved.
Okay, the bylaw will be considered by council later this afternoon. If there are no further questions, then I declare this public meeting to be concluded. Public meeting number 2. I now declare this portion of the meeting to be a public meeting to deal with application number Shore Road closure 01/2025 for Rogers. I will now ask for any comments by the applicants or their agent if, well, we know they're not, sorry. There's no members of the public. So, are there any questions or comments from council to the Director of Development Services? Okay, pretty straightforward. I will now ask the Director of Development Services, Melissa Halford, if there are any recommendations or comments to bring to the attention of council as a result of these proceedings.
Staff would recommend approval of the related bylaw as outlined in the agenda package.
Okay, the bylaw will be considered very shortly. If there are no further questions, then I declare this public meeting to be concluded. Okay, so moving right along into bylaws. It's moved by Councillor Johnston, second by Councillor Jorgensen. Be it resolved that the following bylaws be read, passed, and engrossed into the bylaw book. Bylaw number 2025-72 for zoning, Sterling, Lake Muskoka, and bylaw number 2025-73, Shore Road closure, Rogers, Sparrow Lake. Council, does anyone want to pull any of these for discussion? Okay. So, seeing none. I think this might be a record. I'll ask you to vote on those bylaws. And that carries, thank you. It is moved by Councillor Morphy, second by Councillor Robinson. Be it resolved that the minutes of the council meeting dated August 26, 2025 be approved as circulated. Please vote. And that carries, thank you. And it is moved by Councillor Strank, second by Councillor Varney. Be it resolved that the bylaw number 2025-74 to confirm the council meeting held on September 23rd, 2025 be passed. Please vote. Okay. And a motion to adjourn, Councillor Jorgensen and Councillor Varney. Please vote.